Hi guys, I'm here today to talk about our next part of our Easter story. So when we left off, we were talking about how Jesus, after his dinner with his friends, went to the garden to pray. And he was praying to God saying, I know that you have this plan for my life and that there's a sacrifice I have to make, but I really don't want to. And if I don't have to, it'd be great. But if you want me to do it, I will. So after that, Jesus saw the soldiers in the garden and they came to arrest him. And they arrested him even though he wasn't really guilty of anything. He hadn't done anything wrong. But they took him to Pilate, who was kind of like a judge. And Pilate didn't believe that he was guilty of anything either. He didn't think Jesus had done anything wrong. But he sentenced him to go to the cross anyway. So that's where we're at. We're going to read some books about that. Jesus did many good things. He healed sick people. He taught people about God's love. But some people didn't like Jesus, so they arrested him and put him on a cross. But he still showed God's love. He forgave the people who put them there. When his good work was done, he died there on the cross. He died to take away all the bad things that people do, to help us to do the things we should do. Jesus told his followers that it was God's plan for him to die and then to come back to life 3 days later. Some people did not like Jesus, and they did not believe that he was God's son. They sent soldiers to capture Jesus and put a crown of thorns on his head. They put him on a cross to die, and the soldiers put his body in a tomb and rolled a big, big stone over the door. His friends were so sad, but just like Jesus had said, God had a wonderful plan. So after Pilate sentenced him to the cross, the soldiers took Jesus and put a crown of thorns on his head, and they made fun of him and laughed at him. Then they led Jesus out of the city to be put on a cross. At 9 o'clock in the morning, the soldiers nailed Jesus to the cross. They also put 2 robbers beside Jesus, one on the right and one on the left. While Jesus was on the cross, the land became dark from noon until 3 o'clock when Jesus died, and there was a big earthquake. When the earth shook, the thick curtain in the temple between the holy place and the most holy place ripped from top to bottom. When the soldiers at the cross saw that what had happened when Jesus died, they knew he really was the Son of God. A rich man named Joseph had a new tomb where he had planned to be buried. He took Jesus' body from the cross and put it in his own empty tomb. Joseph and Jesus' friends wrapped his body in strips of linen and laid it carefully in the tomb. Roman soldiers came to guard the tomb. They rolled a huge stone over the door and sealed it in a way that would show if anyone tried to move the stone. So what happened was, so I know you guys have seen a cross. We can make it with our fingers. Can you make it, like take one this way and this way? It's like a symbol, right? It's a symbol that we use in church just to kind of show God's love, Jesus' love for us. And the reason that is because it's kind of hard to understand, but Jesus, when they put him on the cross, it was like a punishment, right? Even though he hadn't done anything wrong. And he went on the cross because God had this plan, and it was a sacrifice that Jesus had to make. And he died on the cross. And when he died, he went to God after that, right? He went up to heaven. And the reason he did was because what his sacrifice was Jesus took all the sins of the people of the world with him to heaven, right? And so to show you that, let me kind of show you what that means, okay? So a sin is like something that we do, like something bad we do, right? So if you like yell at your mommy and daddy, or you hit your brother or sister or your friend. That's kind of what a sin is. It's something bad that you do that you know you're not supposed to do, right? And every time we sin, it kind of makes like a little mark on our soul or our heart, right? So if you yell at your mommy and daddy when you're not supposed to, if you're not listening, that puts a little mark on your heart, right? Or if you push your brother or sister down, right? That makes a little mark on your heart. If you tell a lie, right? That could put a little mark on your heart. If you take a toy away from your friend, right? That could put a little mark on your heart, because it's something that's not nice that we do, right? And so every time you do that, that kind of puts a little mark on your heart, just like that, right? Now what Jesus did was, because remember we talked about how God made all the people in the world, right? And he loves all the people in the world. Well, Jesus took all those bad things that everyone does, he took them on himself. And when he died on the cross, he took them to heaven and he gave them to God, and he said, I'm sacrificing myself for all the people of the world. So when they do something bad, I have paid the price for that, right? So Jesus took all of those sins away, right? And he took all those marks off of our heart. And he gave them to God and said, I have paid the price for your people. And he washes them clean, just like that, right? So now, when we do something bad, you know, we still maybe have to have a timeout or something, but all we have to do is, after we do something bad, we have to say, God, I am so sorry that I did that bad thing. Will you please forgive me? And you know what? Because Jesus went and died on the cross, God forgives us of those bad things we do. Now, after he died on the cross, they put his body in a tomb. They wrapped it in cloth and put the tomb, and that's when his spirit went to heaven to talk to God. But you know what? He didn't stay in that tomb, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. Bye. Love you guys.